Greetings to you, beloved, and welcome to this video. We will start with another secret, yet another, and this secret is still a secret, and it's already a secret for thousands of years, long time, and this secret will end in maybe a couple of years, maybe 10 years, or maybe a little less. This is just my estimation, so don't hold me to it. I'm just saying this. I can be wrong, but we're talking obviously about the secret of God. The secret of God. So what is that? Let's start. All right. So in order to let's say introduce this secret better, I will make one step back. What I mean is that remember when I started this series of God's secrets which are revealed in His Word, then I started with a rough overview and with the question, why are secrets necessary? I want to repeat that, first of all, just for as a reminder, for memory's sake, so to speak. But on the other hand, also because a lot of this rough overview has to do with the secret of God. So I'm going to repeat it, and of course, with the hope that it will stuck longer in your brain. And then we will start right away with the topic at hand. Let's start with the background. Okay, so we will start again. Just the beginning. God walks with Adam in the Garden of Eden. Man's conscience is still dormant. Remember, we were talking about that already. Adam sins by transgression of God's one law he received. And what happens? His conscience is awakened. So then now humanity has a working awareness conscience. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Adam then is expelled from the Garden of Eden, as of course for his own good, because his body is now a mortal body. So he cannot eat from the fruit of life in that sense. So for his own good, he is expelled. But contact between God and man still remains. Think about the contact between God and Cain, for instance. So there is contact, but there is a distance as well. And that distance is because of humanity, not because of God. God was always at peace with humanity. This is very important to grasp. But it is on the account of humanity that a distance came into being, was created because of the effect of human conscience, obviously. So, increase of evil gets exploded because of the presence of Nephilim, as a result of the actions of a couple of disobedient angels who came on earth. They squandered their privilege, so to speak. They came on earth and got children with a woman, with the daughters of man. And the children became the Nephilim, the giants of old, the pre-flood giants, who were really gigantic. And these guys were evil. They taught humanity a lot of things, a lot of bad things as well. Or, for instance, the making of weapons for warfare. So a lot of things happened in that time, and that was a very long time. I think approximately 1200 years since the coming of the Nephilim, or the coming of the angels, let me put it like that, and the flood. So in that period, it's all approximately 1200 years, a lot of things happened, And especially the bloodlines of humanity got corrupted. Almost all of humanity. And I think there were already billions of humans on Earth. So if you just think about the number of children they could have reaching an age of approximately 800 to 900 years, so you can imagine how huge the families were. So there was an explosion of human beings on Earth since Adam. So God now sends the great flood to exterminate the then world population because of the bloodline corruption. There were only 8 people that were saved of those, I think, billions. However, of those 8 people, there were only 6 people that were of a pure blood. Let me put it like that. So a pure DNA. And that was, of course, Noah, his wife, their 3 sons, and the wife of Shem. I think the 2 other wives of Ham and Japheth were not pure anymore because of the smaller giants after the flood. For instance, Goliath and his brothers. So let's continue. After the flood, the evil begins to rise again. And rebellion under the directorship of Nimrod gets a climax because of intention to make a name for themselves, humanity, and of course Nimrod first. So they built the Tower of Babel, you know that, and God descends, relatively obviously, and creates different languages. Therefore, people were forced to spread over the earth because they were looking for the ones who were speaking their language. So a lot of groups came into existence of equally language, so to speak, and of course there existed distrust because the one group could think of the other that they were plotting against them, as an example. So they were spreading across that one continent, Earth, and after that God sent an earthquake in the days of Peleg, and that divided the continent into other smaller continents and islands, and of course nations. But that is obvious. So what happened then? At the spreading of humanity over the earth, God established the boundaries of the nations according to the number of the sons of Him, of the sons of Elohim. And from then on, God withdrew and was no longer directly visible or noticeable to the nations. So that's when the secret of God came into existence, more or less. So before I let me just continue. I will mention it later. So these were from then on, humanity, I'm talking about the nations, they were put under the supervision of the sons of Elohim, because they, you know who the sons of Elohim are? Those are the sovereignties, the authorities, the world mights of darkness, etc., the princes of the heavens, so to speak. And they were the gods that the nations of old were serving and venerating. So these beings, called the sons of Elohim, they misused their power. And they were also corrupt themselves, demanding honor from humanity instead of giving the honor to God. Okay, so the next step in God's plan is He chooses one nation through the line Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. And of course, that is Israel. However, just let me mention this, while the nations then were put under the supervision of the sons of God, and that is still the case today, still the case, the one nation God chose for himself is not under the supervision of the sons of Elohim. That is under the supervision of God himself. Let me put it like that. And the one angel who is the warrior for Israel, let me put it like that, is of course the archangel Michael. So, with Israel, God went to work and to set an example for the rest of the nations in the future. Is that already a fact? No, not at all. Because after the snatching away, which will happen soon, I estimate, then God will resume his program with Israel, as a consequence of which a lot, I think millions of Israelites will come into believing Jesus Christ as their Messiah. So, in the future after that, so at the start of the Millennium Kingdom, in that kingdom, then Israel will set an example as a royal priesthood for the rest of the nations by blessing them, being a priest unto them toward God. So that's very important to realize. So it was already known early that the Messiah of Israel back then would come on earth and establish a kingdom in which he would rule with his people Israel on earth and bless all nations. They became arrogant, we know that too. They thought they could keep the law. Wow, that's a huge claim for yourself. And they felt elevated above the other nations, thinking we are the people of God. So the nations were called dogs. And such an expression is not very polite, right? It's not very friendly. Okay, so that is the background, a rough overview. So now the question becomes, why secrets? Why is it necessary? Because most of them were hidden, or all of them were hidden in God, but most of them because of Israel. Israel is the reason. Because it would be demoralizing for Israel if they knew that their Messiah would have a far greater glory and scope, as I mentioned in the previous vlog about the secret of the Christ. Remember? And God, if they knew that God would later call a group of people, and especially from the nations whom they call dogs, who would have a much higher responsibility even, namely a heavenly responsibility, then I think that would also be demoralizing for Israel. And if that group of people would also come to belong to a company called the Christ. Wow. And that's also the previous vlog. So you can imagine that that would not work, and it would not be very appealing to Israel, right? So there was another reason, and that is about the resurrection. Because we already know, if we regarding the secret of the resurrection, that resurrection was already very well known, and it was known long before in the Hebrew scriptures. So they would expect the resurrection of the righteous. So if they would discover that an earlier secret resurrection was scheduled, then that would also, of course, create demotivation. So I hope that's clear. So now we're going to start with the subject at hand. The world right now hates God. They will not hate God forever. They are hating God now, but the question is why? God is directing everything, right? So this is a mature truth that we have to keep in the back of our mind. So first of all, why does the world hate God? Because of the way Christianity has presented him. And of course, after Christianity first hijacked his name and that of Jesus Christ, and then presented a false God and Christ to the world. But there is also another reason. The world is just simply alienated from God, and that is due to the secret of God. So that is very important to keep in mind also. This universe is thought to run by itself. People think that God just switched on a knob, something like that, and just walked away. And that is, of course, not the case. So, what happened? As I already mentioned, God scattered the nations over the earth by intervening in the building of the Tower of Babel and caused the nations to spread. After which he hid himself from mankind. So, you can read about that in Deuteronomy 32 verse 8, when the Supreme gave the nations allotments, when he parted the sons of Adam, he set the boundaries of the people according to the number of the sons of Elohim. I personally think it was 70, and there is also mention of that in other writings. But in verse 9, it says that he kept his portion for himself, and that was the portion of Jacob or Israel. So that the children of Israel. So that's another story. And the question is obvious, where is God now? So, of course, the first truth, the mature truth, is that he is literally everywhere in the universe. He is in every atomic particle. I mean, whether it's particle of mass or of air or of gases or of plasma, it doesn't matter. God is literally everywhere. And not only that, he directs literally everything. So this is the mature truth, again, to keep in the back of your mind. So, when he walked with Adam in the Garden of Eden, he was still close to mankind. But you know already that mankind was not close to him, because they couldn't even smile, is my strong thinking, because they didn't know good. Why didn't they know good? Because they didn't know bad, or evil, if you want. So, think about it. Today, God is not visible anymore for a long time already, for thousands of years, and he is not even noticeable as such, and thus not known by the world. He has withdrawn. However, by his creation, you can know that there is an intelligent design behind it, obviously. So, and that is what Romans 1 talks about. So now he is only a fake deity in the world's perception. In some communities, they even call him providence. But that is just temporary. It will soon be finished with that. In reality, God is the true provider in every age, in every era, of all that the world has. I think we're going to read these two passages. I think that would be very wise to do. So first, we're going to Acts 17, verse 24-25. There we read, "The God who makes the world and all that is in it He, the Lord inherent of heaven and earth, is not dwelling in temples made by hands. Neither is he attended by human hands as if requiring anything, since he himself gives to all life and breath and all. Come on, this is obvious. And we also read in verse 28, for in him we are living and moving and just are existing. As some poets of yours also have declared, for of that race also are we, says Paul very wisely to those philosophers on the Areopagus. So let's read also from Romans 11. And we will start with 32 to 36. For God locks all up together in stubbornness, that he should be merciful to all. It's already, oh my goodness. Okay, let's finish this one. Oh, the depth of the riches and the wisdom and the knowledge of God, how inscrutable are his judgments and untraceable his ways. For who knew the mind of the Lord, or who became his advisor? You understand that these are very rhetorical questions. Or who gives to him first, and it will be repaid him, seeing that out of him and through him and for him is all, just all. To him be the glory for the eons. Amen. So you can understand, I'm going to finish this slide, and then I'm going to finish it this topic in the next vlog. Okay, so the world now sees him as that man upstairs, a fake idea, a distant deity, as mentioned, like an indistinguishable Godhead. Part of the secret is that he does reveal himself in secret, yes, but that it's only to a few people whom he has chosen and granted faith, because he is deciding everything and directing everything. So he granted faith to a couple of individuals as a gift of grace in order to love him back. These people have received eyes to see and ears to hear, to know the truth of who God really is. But note that all of God's gifts are dependent on him alone. So let's leave it at that for now, and then we continue this topic the next time. Thanks for watching, and see you then.